You are exhausted. Not the kind of tired that goes away after a good night's sleep, not the kind that a cup of coffee fixes. This is something deeper, something that has been quietly stealing your life from you, piece by piece, day after day, and most people have absolutely no idea just how bad it has actually gotten until they are standing in the middle of a room with no idea why they walked in there, or crying for reasons they cannot explain, or lying awake at 3 in the morning completely depleted but somehow unable to sleep. If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because what I am about to share with you is going to make so much sense that it might actually change everything. Let me paint you a picture. You wake up and before you've even opened your eyes, there is already this heaviness sitting on your chest. Not sadness exactly, just weight. Like gravity decided overnight that it was going to work twice as hard on your body specifically. You drag yourself out of bed, not because you feel rested, but because you have no choice. The world does not pause because you are running on empty. You shuffle to the kitchen, you make your coffee, and for a brief moment you think maybe today will be different. Maybe today the fog will lift. But it does not lift. It never really lifts anymore. That fog. Let me talk about that fog for a second because nobody talks about it honestly enough. It is not just tiredness, it is like trying to think through wet cement. Simple things that used to take you 5 minutes now take 20. You read the same sentence 3 times and still cannot absorb what it says. You are in a meeting or a conversation, and you are nodding along but your brain is somewhere completely else. Floating, disconnected, desperately trying to stay present but failing. People around you might not notice. But you notice. You always notice. And here is what the research actually shows. Sleep deprivation affects your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, and impulse control, far more significantly than most people realize. When you are chronically sleep-deprived, your brain literally starts functioning like a completely different brain. Studies have shown that going without adequate sleep for just a few nights produces cognitive impairment comparable to being legally drunk. Let that sink in. You have essentially been showing up to your life impaired, and the cruel part is that when you are that tired, your brain loses the ability to accurately assess how impaired it actually is. So you think you are handling it. You tell yourself you are fine. You are not fine. Now before we go any deeper into this, I want to make sure you know something. There is a program linked in the description below this video that addresses exactly what we are talking about today. People who were in the same place you are right now have gone through it, and the results have been genuinely remarkable. But here is the thing. This program is not for everyone, and I am going to be completely honest with you about that. If you are looking for a quick fix or you are not actually ready to change anything, do not bother. But if something in your gut is telling you that you cannot keep living this way, that door exists, and it is right there in the description. Now let me get back to what this really costs you, because let us talk about the emotional side of chronic sleep deprivation, and let us be real about it. You are irritable in ways that scare you sometimes. The smallest things set you off. A minor inconvenience at work becomes this enormous emotional event. Your partner says one slightly wrong thing, and suddenly there is a fight that came out of nowhere. And afterwards you sit there wondering who that person even was. Because that overreaction, that emotional explosion, that does not feel like you. Except it keeps happening. Over and over again. Because when your brain is running on no sleep, your amygdala, the emotional alarm center of your brain, becomes hypersensitive. It fires at everything. And simultaneously your prefrontal cortex, which is supposed to pump the brakes on those reactions, is too depleted to do its job. So you are essentially a raw nerve, every sensation too loud, every comment too sharp, every demand too heavy, and the loneliness. Nobody talks about how lonely it is to be chronically sleep deprived, because from the outside you look fine, you are showing up, you are functioning, people have no idea that inside you are barely holding it together. You cannot explain to someone who has never experienced it what it feels like to be this fundamentally, this deeply worn down. So you stop trying to explain it, you just carry it alone, and that isolation makes everything harder. Then there's the physical side. Your body is keeping score of every missed hour. Chronic sleep deprivation is directly linked to increased cortisol levels, meaning your stress hormone is chronically elevated. Your immune system is suppressed, so you get sick more easily, and you take longer to recover. Your metabolism is disrupted, so despite eating reasonably, you might be gaining weight or struggling to lose it. Your cardiovascular system is under increased strain. Your blood sugar regulation is compromised. This is not minor. The research is clear. Chronic sleep deprivation is not just making you tired. It is actively aging your cells faster, damaging your organs on a biological level, and shortening your functional lifespan. This is a medical issue being treated like a lifestyle inconvenience, and that gap between what it really is and how people dismiss it is costing people years. Years, not days, not weeks, years of their one life. And then there is the performance cost. Think about what you could accomplish if your brain was actually firing on all cylinders. Think about the ideas that could come to you, the focus you could sustain, the energy you could bring to your work, your relationships, your goals. Research from Harvard Medical School has highlighted that well-rested people demonstrate dramatically better creative thinking, memory consolidation, and problem-solving ability compared to those who are sleep-deprived. The version of you that exists on the other side of real restorative sleep is not just a slightly improved version of you. It is categorically different. It is the person you were before this became your normal. It is the person you are desperately trying to be right now despite running on fumes. People who have genuinely fixed their sleep describe the experience of waking up truly rested as almost emotional, like seeing color after years of seeing gray, like finally surfacing after being underwater for so long you forgot what air tasted like. One person described it as suddenly understanding why other people seemed to enjoy life, because they had been going through the motions of existing for so long they could not actually feel living. That hit hard when I heard it, because it is so accurate to what so many people experience. But here is where this gets really important, and where most conversations about sleep fall completely short, because the answer is not just go to bed earlier. If it were that simple, you would have fixed it already. The problem is rarely just about when you get into bed. It is about what happens in your nervous system before bed, during the night, and when you wake up. It is about the cycle of cortisol and melatonin being completely out of rhythm. It is about the thought loops that start the moment your head hits the pillow. It is about the anxiety about not sleeping that makes not sleeping worse. It is about the environmental signals you have been unknowingly sending your brain for years that are keeping it in a state of alert when it desperately needs to shift into rest. The people who successfully reverse chronic sleep deprivation do not do it by trying harder to sleep. They do it by fundamentally changing the relationship between their brain and the act of rest. And that is a process that requires understanding, structure, and the right kind of support. Not generic advice. Not another app that tracks your sleep and makes you feel worse about it. Actual transformation. And the transformation is real. When people get their sleep back, not just occasionally but consistently, something shifts at every level. Their mood stabilizes in ways their relationships immediately notice. Their productivity increases in ways their income often reflects. Their physical health markers improve. Their sense of self comes back. That quiet confidence, that ability to handle things, that sense of being grounded in yourself, it returns. And most strikingly, the things that felt completely overwhelming start to feel manageable again. Not because the circumstances changed. Because their nervous system finally has the resources to meet life as it actually is instead of barely surviving it. The difference between where you are right now and where you could be in 60 days of actually addressing this is not small. It is not subtle. People consistently describe it as one of the most significant shifts they have ever made in their well-being. And the irony is that almost nobody treats it with the urgency it deserves until they are so depleted they have no choice. Do not wait for that point. This is the moment where I want to say something directly to you, not to an audience, to you specifically. You have probably been managing this for a long time. You have probably tried things that did not work. You have probably told yourself it is just how you are now, or maybe things will get better on their own, or you will deal with it when things calm down. But things do not calm down. And this does not get better on its own. It actually compounds. Every night of inadequate sleep makes the next night harder. The longer you wait, the deeper the pattern gets, and the more of your life gets spent in that fog. The program in the description below this video exists because too many people spend years in exactly the place you are in right now without the right roadmap to get out. Most people who find it say their only regret is that they did not find it sooner. That window is open right now, today. The decision to click that link is either something you make today or something you look back on 6 months from now still feeling exactly like this, wondering why you did not just take the step. You deserve actual rest. Not just sleep, real rest. The kind that changes everything. It is there. Go get it.